Welcome to ESPN The Ocho, where we will be previewing tomorrow's game against Team Agamemnon and Team Odysseus.
Let's go down to the locker rooms now and talk to some of those players about their game tomorrow.
Today I'm here with team captain Agamemnon to discuss his team's upcoming Mount Olympus championship game against Odysseus. Agamemnon is known for his power as king of Mycenae and remains a fearless competitor on the field. His team is loaded with star players who possess strength and physical ability that make their defense nearly impossible to score on. So, Agamemnon, how does you and your teammates feel headed into the prestigious Mount Olympus championship game?
We feel fully prepared because of all the hard work that led us to an undefeated regular season. We are confident that with the physical stature of our defensive players, we can defend any offensive threat or strategy that Team Odysseus presents us.
Sounds like it's going to be an exciting matchup. Are there any opponents on Team Odysseus that you have focused on in your preparations?
Yes, we are very aware of Achilles as an offensive threat. He is fast and has the ability to wear down defenders, such as Polyphemus and Ajax. We may have to switch up matchups in order to keep them fresh. Also, we must be aware that Hermes possesses superhuman physical abilities and will need to rely on our strong team defense to stop them.
Sounds like you have your hands full on defense. What have you been saying to your teammates in order to prepare them for battle?
We stick to what has been working for us all season. We pride ourselves in a simple game plan. Keep it simple and possess the ball. This is especially important because we do not want to be playing defense all game against our talented offensive players. We also want to take care of the ball. Offensively, we do not set out like Team Odysseus does. We need to make sure that when we have the ball, we are taking full advantage of our opportunities. We do not have enough offensive experience or firepower to be turning the ball over or missing shots.
What are your thoughts on Achilles' injury during the regular season? Do you think he will be playing at 100% in the championship game?
We're preparing for him to be at full health. Whether that may be the case, we don't know. We know his capabilities as a player, and we are not taking any chances.
Any last comments on the championship game?
Yes, I'm willing to do anything that it takes to defeat Team Odysseus and his teammates, and that my team has unwavering confidence will come out victorious.
I will now be interviewing star midfielder Athena. Athena is a goddess who possesses many intangible traits that give her team an immediate upper hand. She is strategic, knowing when to push transition and when to lay back and let the game come to her. She is also incredibly good at inspiring her teammates. So Athena, how has your season been leading up to the Mount Olympus championship game?
It has been great. Although you won't see any breathtaking statistics from mine from the regular season, I believe I helped the team out in other important ways.
I know what you are referring to, and many others would agree. You are a great balance to your captain, Agamemnon, and have the clear ability to instill courage and inspire your teammates to play their best.
Thank you for your kind words.
Do you have any comments on any of the opponents you'll be facing tomorrow?
Well, the recent allegations about Achilles and his PED use are concerning. There is no doubt he is one of the best players we will face this season. Many are upset and labeling him as a cheater, but as a team we are confident that we can guard him with or without his legal issues.
Interesting that you bring that up. It's terrible to see a gifted athlete such as Achilles trying to get away with cheating. But who knows if the allegations are true? It certainly has not given them that much of an upper hand this season, and they just barely made the playoffs. As a gifted strategic, do you have any specific tactics you will implement in the championship game?
I think one of the most important tactics the team and I use game in and game out is controlling the tempo. We are aware that if we stay in control and possess the ball, good things will happen. If Odysseus' team begins to take control, we will slow the pace in order to regather our control. It is the most important strategy that my teammates and I focus on during the entirety of the game and has proven time in and time again to be beneficial. I am a firm believer that most of this game is played mentally and the ability to master that will conquer.
That is some great insight into the mind of a player such as you. Thank you for your time and best of luck. I will now be interviewing Ajax the Great, a standout defenseman for Team Agamemnon. His physical dominance sets him apart from his opponents and instills fear among many. Ajax, what do you believe you will have to do to win the championship game tomorrow?
I have to impose confident and aggressive demeanor out of the gate. I have to have a fearless, never back down attitude towards my game. My physicality will only take me so far against players such as Achilles and Hector.
Any comment on facing off against a longtime friend, Ajax the Lesser?
Although quick and nimble, I am confident in my own skill set. I know that he will try to attack my weaknesses and wear me down, but I am sure it will in turn reveal his own weaknesses.
What are your weaknesses?
I do not have many, but with my immense size comes costs. I am not as mobile as smaller, more agile players such as Ajax the Lesser, but make up for it with my demeanor and physicality.
Everyone knows that you and Hector had a fight during a regular season game. What are your thoughts on going into tomorrow's championship?
Everyone knows I would prevail in a fight with Hector. Although we remain friends going into tomorrow's game, I will further prove my dominance in the field.
Here I have Paris, and he will be my next interviewee and is one of the younger players in the league and had an average regular season performance. He is known around the league as somewhat of a pretty boy. He finds himself caught up in drama a lot of the time and is not seen as a tough player. He lacks respect from a lot of older, more experienced players in the league. How do you feel going into tomorrow's match against Team Odysseus?
I'm excited. I'll not be counted on to produce offensively. That has me feeling slightly nervous. This is the biggest game of my career, and I'll put a lot of pressure on myself.
Many around the league have commented on your lack of toughness. What would you like to speak about that?
I don't really have a response to that. I think a lot of this criticism comes from jealousy from other players. They know I'm an attractive person. I'm good with females. I'm also a lot younger than many of the players in this league, and I don't have a lot of experience, and that may hinder my toughness. But having somewhat of an average season hasn't earned me much respect around the league, but I'm looking to bounce back tonight.
Interesting insight. How do you feel about being guarded by some of the top defensemen in the league, such as Odysseus?
I'm slightly concerned about the physicality of both players, but know that the lacrosse is a team game and a lack of physical stature can be made up for. I also rely heavily on the strategy and team chemistry that we have embraced and used to benefit all regular season.
How do you feel about playing against your brother Hector?
I know his strengths well, and I respect him as a top player in the league. He always has something to say about my not-so-fearless actions. I believe that I can give my team valuable knowledge about him, but with the strength of our defense, small details such as that do not matter that much.
Best of luck tomorrow, Paris. I hope that your teammates can help instill some confidence in you before the matchup.
Thanks.
We had the pleasure of sitting down with Odysseus, captain for Team Odysseus, in the Mountain Olympus Championship game. He will be facing a tough opponent, Team Agamemnon, who are favorites coming in tomorrow's championship game. How are you today, Odysseus?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, your team has faced some serious challenges coming into tomorrow's game. Injuries have been a big issue for you this year, especially to your star midfield Achilles. Do you think your team is physically prepared for tomorrow's game?
I believe we are. We've been training diligently over the past couple weeks, making sure that everyone is eating well, getting the right amount of sleep, and participating in the recovery process. We're going to have some challenges going up against that wall of a defense they have back there on Team Agamemnon and Polyphemus and Ajax, the Greater. But we are healthy, and I have faith that our game plan will help us succeed.
Glad to hear everyone is healthy. But speaking of your game plan, are you at all nervous about how you're going to get around those two all-league defenders?
Obviously, Polyphemus and Ajax are going to present some problems for us. Those guys have been putting up amazing numbers all year, and their undefeated record is a reflection of their talent. However, I think that we will be able to find a way to get past them. We've got some of the smaller, quicker guys in the league who I think will present some problems for them off ball. Also, with Achilles finally back, him and Patroclus have been clicking on all cylinders. Their defense is very good, but I think that our offense will find a way to put a couple past them.
You sound awfully confident for a man who has to come up with a strategy to counter that of Athena. Her plans have been a large reason why Team Agamemnon is still undefeated. You two have known each other fairly well over a long period of time, I think it's safe to say. How do you plan to counter Athena's great strategizing?
I mean, obviously being the god of strategy, Athena is going to have Team Agamemnon well prepared coming into tomorrow's match. But I've put together a game plan as well with some tricks up my sleeve that I might just throw some kinks in her plan. I've been breaking down film and studying their tendencies, and I think that our speed and athleticism will give us an advantage in the offensive end of the field.
Sounds like you were well prepared for tomorrow's match. Obviously, you and Agamemnon have been good friends for a long time, and there's a lot of mutual respect between you two. Are you excited about facing off against him in tomorrow's championship game?
Oh, I absolutely am. It's always a good time when we have faced them before in the past. Agamemnon is a strong and emotional leader who knows how to motivate his team, though sometimes he can be a little rambunctious at times, and his play and leadership speak for themselves, as seen by their record. Agamemnon has done a great job captaining them all season, and I expect him to step up his intensity for this match.
Well, it sounds like your team is well prepared and excited for the Mountain Olympus Championship tomorrow, which will be held right here on ESPN The Ocho between Team Agamemnon and Team Odysseus. Thank you for your time, Odysseus.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Next, we sit down with star midfielder Achilles. How are you today, Achilles?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
You've had a roller coaster of a season. Coming into this season, you were among the top considerations for most valuable player as you led the league last year with goals. However, with the tragic injury to your Achilles this season, it hasn't quite lived up to the potential most thought it could. Do you think there's any pressure for you to perform better in this championship game?
I don't think so. I'm the best player in the league, and I've shown that consistently over my career. I know that some people might believe players such as Hector or Agamemnon deserve to be mentioned with my name at the top of the league's best players, but I don't think they're even close to having the same skill and athleticism that I have. I've had pressure on me since the day I entered the league, and tomorrow's match isn't going to be any different.
Speaking of Hector, there have been some rumors about possible locker room altercations between you two. Any comments on this?
Yeah, we had a small exchange, some words were said, and some altercations occurred, but nothing substantial. He has been giving Patroclus some grief over his lack of production lately. Patroclus is my guy, and he's been in a slump lately, but there is no reason for anyone to create a destructive atmosphere in our locker room before an important game such as this one, so I had to step in and put Hector in his place.
You sound awful confident for a man coming off serious injury, but I'm glad to see that you're back and playing again. Are you concerned about your Achilles injury going into tomorrow's game?
My Achilles is fully healed. There are no problems with it. I am 100% healthy.
Speaking of problems, there have been some recent allegations about possible HGH or steroid use, which some have speculated to contribute to your recent hot streak. Any comments on these serious allegations?
Those accusations are completely false. I would never do anything like that would disrespect this game. I've always played at a high level my entire life. Now I must just be reaching my golden years. People always want to make the best players villains so they can feed off their downfall. I've embraced that role. I know that I'm the best player in the league, and therefore people are going to try and take my accomplishments away from me. I have never done and will never do anything like that to jeopardize my career.
Now, you and Patroclus have had amazing chemistry during your time on Team Odysseus. It seems like you guys know each other better than you know yourselves when you're playing out there. What do you think is the key for you two developing such a great chemistry?
Patroclus and I have known each other from a young age. I've played many games with him, and over that time we became good friends. I think our chemistry comes from our love for our home and for competition. We have always been good players, and I think we have grown in terms of skill and understanding for the game as we have played with each other for so many years.
It sounds like you guys have really become close friends.
You could say that.
Well, for our final question, how do you think your team's high-flying offense will face against the outstanding defense they have on Team Agamemnon?
I think we stand a good chance against our defense. I know they've been playing well all season, but our team is finally healthy and we're just hitting our stride at the perfect time of the year. I think our speed will present problems for our defense. Yes, Ajax and Polyphemus are big and strong, but I think that if we move well off ball and move the ball around quick, that we will be able to cut through their tough defense. Having me and Patroclus at the midfield with a pairing of Ajax, the Lesser, and Hermes at attack will present problems for them. Most of their attention will be aimed at me and Patroclus, of course, but I feel confident that our offense will be able to match their defense.
Well, Achilles, thank you for your time. Good luck in tomorrow's match.
Thank you.
Our third guest today from Team Odysseus is Hector. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
As you know, we just had one of your teammates on, Achilles. We understand that you two have been in some altercations together. Would you like to explain that?
We had some words with each other and there were some physical altercations. But in the end, it was just two competitors getting in each other's way. I'm willing to do whatever I have to do for my team to be successful and win games, even if that means getting on some of my teammates for their recent performances. I've never meant to disrespect Patroclus personally. All I meant to do was light a fire with him and up his game because he had been in a slump lately.
Glad to hear it wasn't about anything too serious. Now, you're considered a leader on this team, which is shown through your effort both on and off the field. Do you think that your effort has had a lasting effect on younger players on your team?
I always tried to lead by example. By putting in the work, you should get the right results. People like Achilles, who are more worried about their personal stats and always running their mouths, usually don't have success. Achilles is a great athlete, so he is an exception, but for the rest of us mortals, we have to put in work to be successful. And that is what I'm trying to achieve through my work.
It's great to hear that young kids today have a role model like you to look up to. How do you think your team will fare against Team Agamemnon tomorrow?
I think it'll be a good game. It's a strong defense facing off against a strong offense. Ajax and Polyphemus are two very good players, both physically intimidating and far superior than our attackmen. We're going to have a tough time moving the ball around. However, I think Odysseus has put together a good strategy in place to help us win, and we are playing our best ball of the season. Achilles is finally healthy and our best player, so we are not the same team we were during the regular season. We've come into our own during these playoffs.
Well, hey, Hector, thank you for coming here and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Our final interview today is with Hermes, got a sport and athletes. How are you today, Hermes?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I cannot wait for tomorrow's game. It's going to be one for the ages.
Cannot agree more. You were obviously excited for tomorrow's match. How do you think godly intervention is going to play a role in tomorrow's game?
Well, I would hope that their godly intervention is kept to a minimum to protect the integrity, but gods don't like to lose, so I'm sure Athena is thinking up ways to gain the advantage, whether it's through deception, off the field, or her intervention on it. Communication for our team is going to be key. If the gods start taking matters in their own hands, then we are going to have to be able to work together as a unit to take back control.
So you think the game tomorrow could get out of hand?
Listen, most of the time when you have gods pinned against other gods, there will be problems. And when you implement an aspect of competition into the mix as well, I think anything can happen. Athena is one of the most fierce competitors the sport has, and is used to getting her way. I mean, just look at the way she was able to get her way during the Trojan War. With the other big personalities we have in this game, I'm sure something problematic is bound to happen.
Speaking of competition, the Olympus Lacrosse League Rules Committee has been thinking of changing some of the rules, such as including an 80-second shot clock, and maybe possibly getting rid of some of the godly intervention in the sport. What are your opinion on these changes?
The game is constantly evolving, and I think it's important to have its rules change with it. I think an 80-second shot clock would speed up the game and make it more exciting. As for ruling out godly intervention, I think we should have a longer discussion about that rule change. Since the game was invented, the gods have always been able to use their powers during competition, and I think that is a tradition that needs to stay.
Well, thank you for your time, Hermes. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks for joining Alec and I for the pregame show of the Mount Olympus Championships.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 8 on ESPN The Ocho.